Monday, another jock market IPO to try and take down. The market has been very favorable to us of late. PJ Washington's hot streak has given us quite a few returns. We've also seen quite a few of our other penny stocks pay off as well. So overall, with all the overlay over here at Jock Market, looking to take advantage of that. And here in this video, we're going to give you my top 6 targets to target in the IPO phase for tonight. So whether it's a low pre-rank that they have, an injury situation that I think gives them a lot of value, these are the top 6 guys to target, at least for my portfolio. First off, we'll start with Buddy Hyde at number 6. He comes in as the pre-ranked number 30th player on this slate. It's an abbreviated slate, not a ton of games to speak of. So for him to be at number 30 is a little bit surprising to me. As of right now, we know that Harrison Barnes is not going to play. As of right now, is extremely doubtful for tonight, which essentially means that he's out. So Buddy Hyde should be in the starting lineup, or at the very least, the first man off the bench in this type of instance. And overall, you're going to see a little bit of a usage bump for Buddy Hyde with Barnes off the floor. You're going to need to take more shots on that side of the ball. I mean, Barnes is a ball hog when he's out there. So Buddy Hyde likely to put up an extra 2 to 3 shots, and he's already somebody who's not afraid to chuck up the ball. So I'm expecting right around a 30% usage rate for Hield while he's on the floor. And this matchup against the Lakers is the best on the slate, as the highest over-under at just over 226. Both of these teams play with relatively high pace. They've also been relatively inefficient to this point of the year. So a fantasy goldmine anytime we can match up pace and poor defensive inefficiency. And Buddy Hyde has a usage increase with Barnes off the court. They have a few other guys questionable for that team as well, including their center. Also, a few other guys on the bench questionable. So if even more people end up getting rolled out, Hyde could have an even bigger workload and an even higher usage rate. Next up, we have Emmanuel Quickley, and the Knicks are dealing with some injury questions of their own. They've already come out and said that Kemba Walker is not going to be a part of their rotation, which essentially means that he's out for tonight. Might play a few minutes here and there. But the real problem here is that if Derrick Rose is still questionable, not sure if he's going to end up playing. We have Nerlens Noel, who's extremely questionable for tonight. A few other key pieces as well questionable. Just overall, there's going to be a lot of minutes out there for Emmanuel Quickley. People like a Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, which we'll get to here at number 2. You can see a lot of Knicks on this list. But with all the extra minutes that are likely to be opened up, with the different rotation that they've been running with, Quickley has been a feature of that new rotation. A lot of the reason why they want to take Kemba out of it is to get Quickley a little bit more involved. He brings a lot of scoring off of the bench. He brings a lot of assist upside. Overall, just a more explosive player at this point of his career. A cheaper player, somebody who has a lot more potential to grow. So overall, I do expect him to get more and more usage as this year goes on. So he's projected right now by the Jock Market at number 46 at just over 20 points. I have him closer to a 30-point projection, putting him there at number 27. So going to be relatively overlooked just because of that pre-rank. It's crazy the psychology that plays with people. You'd expect people to just evaluate players based on their projected points, but that pre-rank comes way more into consideration than you'd expect. So I, again, have him as easy profit there at $4.25, and he's likely to go for even less than that. I'm trying to bake into the fact that he is a much better play than his pre-rank, but a lot of times the market lags behind that. It's just there's not enough users out there. Perhaps they're not putting as much time into their Jock Market projections as they are their other sites. And as a result, some of these guys slip a little bit further down the board. So really like them there. I expect them to be a great value on tonight's IPO. Next up, we have Mitchell Robinson, also on that team. If Nerlens Noel is out, he's essentially going to have to play all the center minutes tonight. Typically playing right around 28 minutes per game. Robinson's somebody who gasses pretty quickly, but if Noel's out, they're just going to need those minutes from him. So even if he's giving you lackluster minutes, probably going to see closer to 35, 36 minutes in that type of situation. So as of right now, being a little bit disrespected by the Jock Market, even if Noel is in and he plays 28 minutes, he shouldn't be projected for 20 fantasy points. This is somebody who projects for 0.9 fantasy points per minute, particularly in a plus matchup like the one they have against this Nets team. The Nets run with a relatively high amount of pace, also run small lineups, which means people like Mitchell Robinson, who are hyper-athletic big men, are going to get even higher usage rates, even higher levels of productivity. So I have him projected closer to 28 fantasy points, 27 and 3/4 to be exact. And projected for number 31 on the board. So that gives him a lot of value there, particularly since I think he's going to be a little bit overlooked. He's way down the board. I think he's going to go for less than $3.50, and I think he brings you value close to $5 or even $5.50. So really nice investment tonight. Again, a lot of that comes down to the injury opportunity. If somebody like Noel's rolled out, he's going to become even more valuable. Next up, we have Tyrese Haliburn, also on that Sacramento Kings team, playing in the, again, best matchup of the night against the Lakers. He ranks as the number 24 player tonight, right around 30 fantasy points per his pre-ranking. Again, I have him much higher than that. I have him at number 15 at close to a 34-point projection. Somebody who, again, is going to get extra opportunity with some of the bodies that they have out of that lineup, particularly with Harrison Barnes. Also somebody who gets a higher usage rate in this type of game. We're going to see more shots put up. That means more shots for people like Haliburn that are one of their outside scorers. Also means more peripherals. He's somebody who gets you quite a few rebounds when he's on the court, quite a few assists, quite a few blocks, steals, that kind of thing. And in these high-paced matchups, that's an absolute gold mine. You want the people that really contribute across the board, because with that increased opportunity becomes the increased production. So again, the matchup's great. I expect him to outperform where he's at on the board. And right between that, let's say 10 to 30 range on the board this week, there's a lot of volatility. There's about a 5-point projection difference between the number 10 and the number 30 player on the board tonight. So making sure that we pick our spots in this range is going to prove to be the most profitable strategy. Next up, we have Julius Randle, pre-ranking there at number 10. Again, there's only a 5-point projection difference between these, but Julius Randle should be one of the best players on the board. Sure, he's had a few down games of late. That really shouldn't be swaying us too much. This is somebody who's a high usage player, averaging right around 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Also somebody who's in a great matchup tonight against the Nets. This team, again, one of the worst defenses in the NBA when it comes to their fantasy points allowed. And while they've gotten a lot better this year, last year they were just bleeding points left and right, letting up tons of points. This year, a lot more stout on the defensive end. People like Julius Randle are going to get plenty of opportunity. Again, we're not expecting Nerlens Noel to be in there, which means that you're going to need Julius Randle to play some of those quote-unquote center minutes for them. Mitchell Robinson isn't going to play the whole game. You're also going to have increased rebound production as a result. Without all those big men in there, Julius Randle is going to have to try and swallow up a lot of those rebounds. So overall, I think he's just being a little bit disrespected by the algorithm over there. Projecting him for 37 fantasy points is disrespectful. This is somebody who's going to play 34 minutes, averages 1.3 fantasy points per minute. That's just a blatantly wrong projection, right? We can easily deduce that in about 2 seconds. So I have him targeted right around $12. If I can get him for less than that, I will be extremely excited tonight, because I have him projected as the number 3 player, somebody who's going to be paying out a ton, going to be a feature of my portfolio. And now at number 1, a lot of this comes down to injury. And again, Anthony Davis is probable tonight. He has the game time decision tag, which makes it a little bit risky on JockMarket. If you guys aren't aware, if somebody has that game time decision tag and then does not play, you do not get refunded for them. But he is not questionable. He is probable, so I do expect him to play. A questionable one is LeBron James. We don't know if he's going to play. They've been extremely cautious with him this year, trying to give him a lot more rest to make sure he doesn't have any lingering injuries or anything that flares up. So as a result, I do expect him to sit tonight. And Anthony Davis, anytime we've seen LeBron off the floor, has been an absolute usage monster. He goes from right around a 1.25 fantasy points per minute type of player to right around 1.5 point per minute, which would take him from right around a 46-point projection the whole way up to right around 52 points. So as of right now, I still have LeBron projected as in. I don't want to go ahead and, take news up that hasn't happened yet. But still, even at that point, projects as the number 1 player on the board. So no matter which way you slice this up, he's going to be a good play tonight. I have him targeted right around $14. But if LeBron ends up getting rolled out, he becomes by far the best play on the slate. So for me, I'm going to be investing in him pre-IPO with that in mind, knowing that that's very well a possibility, but also understanding that if LeBron gets rolled in, he's still an excellent play. It's a great matchup against the Kings. He's going to get some extra rebounds. It's the highest over-under in the slate. And again, even though he has a lower rate, 1.25 fantasy points per minute, he's going to play around 35 minutes. And at the type of rate, still likely to hit value at the very least. So really like him there, particularly if we can get him for less than that target price. That's all for the JockMarket preview, guys. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments who you have as your favorite player to target tonight. Obviously, I just gave you 6 of my favorite targets, but I love to hear from you guys. Love to hear what you guys have to say. So go ahead and let me know who you've got. And as always, really appreciate all of your support here on the channel as well, for coming by, enjoying the content, liking, all of that sort of fun stuff. Make sure to stay tuned for the rest of the NBA content we'll have this week. I'm going to have an NBA preview out tomorrow, most likely out on Thursday as well. And a majority of the main slates coming throughout the week. So this is something I'm looking to get a little bit more into here on the channel. I play a ton of NBA DFS myself. So this isn't quite the content that I'm playing day in and day out. I am using the jock market. I'm just trying to get my niche in this space. So go ahead and let me know down in the comments again who you really like tonight on the jock market. And of course, the kind of content you want to see in the future. If you guys want me to do live streams for this, maybe during the IPO process, showing how I'm bidding on players, that kind of thing, or any type of jock market content you want to see coming out in the future, go ahead and let me know. But until then, guys, good luck with all of your bidding tonight, and let's win some cash.